This one up a little family style. I'm going to need some Webers to come up here, and I can't have all of them, but I would like Bob, I'd like Eugene, I'd like Noreen, and I would like Don up on the stage with me right now. Bob, I need you here. Now you throw Richie Steinecker in the mix and you have Mayhem on Martin Street all right here. So, take a seat here, Bob. I told Bob he was going to be part of this. He's not being inducted, but he does have a purpose, which I will explain shortly. But I told you this was a lot of our family, and this is one reason why. We have 3 Webers being inducted the same evening. And Bob was the instigator for this, but he had a committee. Bob, who else was with you putting this together?
Oh, all of those guys, they all helped me.
That was it? Okay. Now Bob, he put in his writing that it wasn't a priority to know about statistics and facts, and a lot of these things have to be handed down by word of mouth when you're going back to the 50s, the 60s. So Bob is here to help me if I miss anything, or if he needs to add anything, he has free license to do so. Is that okay, Weber family? Yeah. Okay, we have approval. Now before Bob, we start though, I have to ask though, you live in Sheboygan Falls, is there more purple and yellow or blue and gold in your closet?
Black and blue.
Good answer. Okay. Bob came to my office several months ago and he looked like he had several resumes. And they were the nomination forms for his 3 Weber brothers. Do you remember what you told me that day before you left the office?
I said these 4 guys got to go in together because they're the Martin Street Marvels.
So he also was involved in the Richie Steinecker capacity as well. And he said, wouldn't it be awesome if they all got in the same year? I'm not a voting member. He told me that. I did not tell any of the committee that he had said that. But on that day, there was plenty of karma because it did come true. So, Bob, it's pretty amazing. One thing I have to say, Bob, if you can get all 3 into the Hall of Fame in 1 year, I hope that they will nominate you for Brother of the Year.
Well, are you done?
Well, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. Bob is getting the hang of how this thing works. Okay. Get your turn. Okay. The first one to be that we'd like to honor is Alan Weber. Alan earned 10 varsity letters, 4 in football, 4 baseball, 2 basketball in his high school career. Alan was nicknamed the perfect audience. That's the kind of thing you write movies out. But they did that because he was a great team man, because he had a ready smile and a hearty laugh. Is that true, Bob?
Absolutely.
Okay. When Bob played defensive end and he was an honorable mention All-American at St. Norbert's College, they only ran to his side on the end around 1 time. They knew it was going to work the rest of the night. He was not only a standout athlete, he was also a standout student. He was a class officer for 4 years in high school and was involved in several clubs, including sports editor for the school-based newspaper. Alan continued his athletic prowess beyond high school, and as I said, was an All-American selection on an undefeated season at St. Norbert's College. His college career followed several years of service in the U.S. Army, where he served in Japan. Did I miss anything, Bob?
What was your question?
Did I miss anything?
Do I have a chance to say something?
I am going to give the plaque. Now, Alan is no longer with us, but I guarantee you he is with us in spirit. His wife, Noreen, is going to accept the plaque, and we may have a few words from Bob. So, Noreen, will you come and accept the plaque, which will be a permanent memorial.
of all that I've ever had, that was the most recent. And you have to know that Tom put a lot of work into this ceremony. He wanted to really get an outstanding international type sports figure to be your speaker tonight, but he got a refusal for that invitation. Then he thought, well, maybe somebody that was nationally known that could really give you guys a lot of information about what goes on in the sports world, and again, he was turned down. So finally, Tom thought, well, maybe I'll get somebody that's really comical and maybe even a little bit sexy. Come and talk to him. Well, I guess by now you've already guessed that I couldn't turn him down 3 times in a row. I'm very, very fortunate. I'm very lucky to have been born in Campbellsport. I didn't go to high school here. I was farmed out. But I know that we have Eden to the north of us, and Wisconsin has its Eden. And I tell everybody that that's true. Wisconsin has its Eden, but Campbellsport is its paradise. And of its paradise, Martin Street is a unique spot in the whole world of Wisconsin. Growing up on Martin Street, knowing my brothers and my adopted brother, Richie, was a very unique experience. Everybody, we talked about family, the whole street was family, and that was part of the whole Campbellsport scene. And my brother Al was just a really fine gentleman, somebody that even as his older brother, I looked to him as a mentor. He excelled in so many things, and he protected me. I was a 98-pound weakling that he took care of. So, who's next? This whole thing started with my reading a column in the Campbellsport News by Coach Peterson that was entitled, "Who's Next?" And I thought about it, I thought, why not the Campbellsport Marvels? And so that's what started the whole thing. And I got a lot of cooperation from my brothers, from my sisters as well. As a matter of fact, I told Tom if he ever has a Hall of Fame for academics, I'm going to nominate my 4 sisters. But who's next? As I think about the student athletes of my day when I was a kid growing up on Martin Street, I think of Bob Burns, I think of Carl Moore, I think of Coach Lyle P. Viney, I think of quite a few people that were really outstanding athletes of that time. And I can't say enough about my brothers Al, Eugene, Don, and my adopted brother Richie.
And who's next for the Webers? We'll go with Eugene Weber. In many of the articles I read on Eugene, Bob, they kept calling him a cager. Why were they doing that?
Why were they doing what?
Calling him a cager.
Cager? Well, he was a really good basketball player.
Why do they call basketball players cagers?
Because they're in the hoop.
I was told that they actually built basketball stadiums within cages because the fans would throw things at them. Does anybody have another story other than that? But they kept regarding them as cagers. And so Eugene was one of the top cagers at Campbellsport. He had 9 varsity letters, 3 in football, basketball, and baseball. He was the man in the middle. He was a prolific scorer, an outstanding inside and outside player. Because they kept saying he made numerous longs. I'm not sure what a long shot was back in the day. You didn't have a 3-point line, but Eugene could score from any spot on the court, I guess. He was all conference in football and basketball. In football, he was a key cog in the team that had 2 conference championships. In basketball, he was a key figure for 2 more conference championships and a runner-up at state in 1950. And in baseball, again, he won 2 conference championships as well, a total of 6 conference championships. Eugene wasn't just another guy on the team, he was a leader of the team's successes. Following high school, Eugene was a Bronze Star recipient for his service in the Korean War. Later, he spent a decade coaching multiple high school sports at Marshfield and Campbellsport, in addition to serving as athletic director. For all the athletic success and leadership shown by Eugene Weber, would you please come forward and accept your honor as being inducted into the Campbellsport High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Well, you know, on the west wall of the gym in Campbellsport, they have the championship teams of Campbellsport listed there, but it only goes from 1960 on. So I got the idea that we were kind of in a black hole in history. So that's why I thought there wasn't any possibility of this happening. But then I didn't figure my brother Bob into the equation here. He took on this project with a passion and did a yeoman's job of putting this whole thing together. So I'd like to thank you, brother. And I'd like to thank all the family and friends for their support. And I'd like to thank the selection committee for considering us Bells to be worthy of the honor of being included in the Cougar Hall of Fame. Like Jim said, we were Bells back then. And what was it? Well, anyways, I think that's probably where we got our attitude. Anyways, we were proud to be Bells, and I feel proud and honored and privileged to be a representative of the Bells into the Cougar Hall of Fame. Thank you.
One more to go. We get to the third brother, little brother, Don Weber. Don was awarded 11 varsity letters in football, basketball, and baseball, 3-time all-conference award winner in basketball, a 1,000-point scorer, one heck of a scorer, led the conference in scoring in 1960-61, even though he missed 2 games during that season. He once scored 53 points in a single game. Bob, he scored 53 points. Did they win the game?
How many points did he get?
He had 53. Did they win the game?
Unfortunately, they didn't.
Unfortunately, they didn't, and that was probably because they didn't have the 3 points line. They lost by 3 points, but had there been a 3-point line, I think it would have been a different story. Don was a 2-time conference champion, where in one season they started out 21-0. The average differential, the point differential was by over 20 points, and they were the number 3 ranked team in the state. I wish I could have seen Don play. In addition to basketball, Don played on the conference championship team in football and baseball. After high school, Don went on to play at UW Milwaukee and competed in both baseball and basketball. So Don, welcome to the Campbellsport High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you to the Cougar Club and the selection committee for choosing not only myself but my 2 brothers and our neighbor down the street, Richie. I want to thank all of our extended family for showing up tonight. Some of them traveled a great distance to be here, and I appreciate the time and effort that you put in to be here and to support Al and Gene and myself. Thank you. I too was a Bell, and I know Jim Ballmer from way back when. He was going to Lemira High School when I was in Campbellsport High School. And I have to take a little bit of exception to what he said in terms of the Bells being considered dinglings. They certainly weren't in the time when I was in high school. In the 59, 60, 61, 58, 59 years, we regularly look forward to playing teams from Grafton, Germantown, Slinger, Pewaukee, because they were a piece of cake for us. So times have changed, I recognize that, but we certainly didn't take a back seat to anybody in those days. And with all due respect to Roger Turcini's many good basketball teams, I would have loved an opportunity for our 59-60 team to be on the court with you and see anyway, thank you. It's been a great evening. Thanks to my daughters and my lovely wife and all my nieces and nephews and grandchildren for being here. Thank you so much.
Our next inductee this evening is Richie Steinacher. This one's kind of special for me. I graduated with Richie's son Dan, who's here tonight. As you heard before, Richie was a member of the legendary Martin Street Gang, along with the Webers. Richie earned 10 varsity letters, 3 in football, 4 in basketball, and 3 in baseball. In the days of leather helmets and no face masks, Richie was an all-conference quarterback and safety on defense, leading his Bells to football championships his junior and senior year. On the basketball court, Richie and the Bells dominated, winning conference and district titles his junior and senior year. In the last game of the 1950-51 season, Richie poured in 51 points as the Bells beat Lemira 111-45. And he only played 3 quarters. That's not bad. On the baseball diamond, Richie was a leadoff hitter and a center fielder. And this is what he played with in center field. This was his glove. And I tell you what, reading through some of the old newspaper clippings, it gave me goosebumps reading some of the stories about what these guys did. He led the Bells to 3 conference titles in baseball, 2 state appearances. In the 1950 state title game against Menasha, Richie hit a towering home run and made some magnificent catches in the outfield. Richie served in the U.S. Air Force as a staff sergeant from 1952 to 1956. At this time, I want Carrie and Lynn Serway to stand up, please. Last year, Carrie Serway's father went in. This year, Lynn Serway, we induct your father, Richie Steinacher.
Well, my real name is Richie Steinacher Weber. We just lived a couple houses apart, but most of the time I was at Weber's. Because the only brother that I ever had, he died as an infant, so I shared myself with the Weber boys, and that was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. And Gene and I were known as the Hutchinjammer twins. I don't know if there's too many of you out here that remember that. That was a comic, cartoon, and it was the captain and the kids. And these were German people, and of course Gene's dad migrated from Germany, and so did my dad's family. In fact, the dad was the only one born in this country. But anyways, Gene was the light-haired one, and I was the dark-haired one back then. And we had lifelong friends, and also Gene was my best man at my wedding, so, you know, things worked out real well. But anyways, we did win 7 conference titles in a row. We won our baseball conference as a sophomore, and then 3 titles as juniors and seniors. And thanks to some of the Wonder Boys, Andy being here is going to be inducted tonight. He was with us for 2 of those, well actually 3 of the baseball, no, 2 of them, because he was a year older than us. And I'd like to pay tribute to some of the fellas that can't be here because they are deceased. And they were great teammates, very special ball players, and they were all really close-knit friends. And I'd like to mention their names. One is Bob St. Mary, who made the ultimate sacrifice during the Korean War. And Jim Wondra, Andy's older brother, Dave Wonder, Andy's younger brother, Jim Scannell, and Jerry Burker. These guys are all deceased, but they were all true and loyal team members along with the rest of us. Now there's a couple of things that I'd like to mention just to add a little humor into this whole situation. Gene and I were always very close, and on the football team, Gene was the center, I was the quarterback. Defense, Gene was a linebacker, and I played safety. But we played 6-man football. Now, a lot of people probably don't even know what that is, or was. But back then, schools were small. We had 30 students in our class, 14 boys, 16 girls. And some of the other schools in the conference were smaller than we were. So we played 6-man football. Now the field was shorter. The 40-yard line was the center of the field, and it was narrower. I don't remember the exact dimensions. And for extra points, we drop kick. I don't know if too many people know what drop kicking is. You don't, like now they place kick, you have a holder and a kicker. But when you drop kick, you have one guy that catches the ball from the center, drops the ball, and the point of the ball has to touch the ground, and at the same time, you kick it. So it was a little tricky, and the timing, of course, had to be perfect. Well, in one game, I don't remember exactly who we were playing, we were penalized attempting the extra point. Normally, you would kick from the 13-yard line, so it was a 23-yard kick, which wasn't that long. And anyways, we were penalized 15 yards. So, first question I asked as a quarterback, I said, what are we going to do now? Because if you kicked it, drop kicked it, you get 2 points. And if you ran or passed, you only got 1. So if you made half of your kicks, you were perfect as far as running or passing. Well, my dad's name was Hugo, and I had another nickname was called Little Hoogie. So anyways, I said, well, what are we going to do now? Here we are out on, it would be about a 38 to 40 yard kick. And I says, I don't know if I can do this. Ah, Hoogie, go ahead, you can make it. So I backed up a couple extra yards. Gene snapped me the ball. I sized up the whole situation and I let her drive. And I mean, I hit it good. There's only one problem. Seeing that we were that far from the goalpost, we wanted to start out with a lower trajectory so we would, gain the distance rather than putting the ball way up in the air. Well, a fraction of a second after my foot hit the ball, Gene stood up. And he blocked my kick. Now,
Wait a minute here. One more in a second. I was down like this, and I was wondering, where's it? What is it?
like I mentioned, he stood up. I thought, I hit this thing good. It may go all the way. But unfortunately, the ball hit Gene in the back of the head. And of course, we had leather helmets back then. I don't know how it felt, but anyways, he turned around and he looked at me and he says, "What the heck are you doing?" And of course, my answer was trying to kick the extra point. But anyways, that was one situation, and there was one other that I never forget. We were playing at Oakfield. This was in our senior years. And Gene, I did the place kicking off the extra points, and Gene was a punter. So anyways, at Oakfield, our football fields weren't really too good because now they're all crowned, while ours was like this. So, you played in the middle of the field, if it rained or something, but anyways, we were playing at Oakfield, and it was in the first quarter, and we had a punt. Gene went back to punt, and their ace running back, who was an outstanding football player, his name was Billy, he blocked the kick. Well, because of that, they scored the first touchdown, leading 6-0. They didn't make the extra point. So Gene comes up to me and he says, "Richie," he says, "I wish he hadn't done that." He says, "I think it's payback time." So he was their ace running back, and he was put together pretty good. Now, I was never really the biggest guy around, but I played safety. Like I said, Gene was a linebacker. He says, "I'll tell you what, every time he gets the ball, I'll hit him low, and you come in and hit him high." But just remind him that he should not be blocking punts. Especially when we're the kicking team. So anyways, we proceeded to, tackle low and high. Nothing illegal, never penalized, no, unorthodox hits or anything like that. And Billy, mind you, like I said, he was a very good ball player. They pulled him off the field about, 4 or 5, 6 times, and because he was shook up. So anyways, he kept coming back, and they kept taking him back out. So anyways, after the game, oh, by the way, the final score was 40-6. We did win. Gene says, Richie says, we should go over and congratulate Billy on the fine game he played. I don't have a problem with that. So we walked over to the Oakfield sidelines, and Billy was still sitting on the ground. And we congratulated him, and there was a lady standing right next to him. We didn't know it was his mother. And she proceeded to give us a scolding. She says, "I can't believe that you two roughnecks come over here and congratulate my ability, the way you played this game of football. Well, you know, we played football the way it was supposed to be played. Like I said, we were never penalized or anything like that. It was just hard hitting and it was a game of football. But that's one incident that I will never forget because it was Gene's idea and I thought... carried it out. But I also like to say that I'd like to thank Doc Weber for putting all this together to get us where we are tonight. It's indeed a great honor. What made it extra special is that three of us, Andy and Gene and myself, being teammates, were inducted at the same time. And that says a lot. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and especially my family. They were more excited about this than I was. And that, by the way, is the glove I used when I played center field. And it wasn't, today they use kind of like the bushel baskets. The thing with those gloves, what you had to do, when the ball was hit, you had to run where it was going to come down because you didn't have much of a glove, you know, to stretch out or anything. You wanted to make sure you caught it. But anyways, it is a great honor being, like Gene said, we were Bells and we migrated into Cougars, but when we were seniors, they did change the team colors from orange and black to blue and gold because North Fond du Lac and Oakfield all said orange and black, so someone had to change and Campbellsport did. But once again, it was a great run and it's something we'll never forget, especially when you get, you know, we're in our 80s now, so good things still happen no matter how long you live.